Lust has destroyed your soul, and now you're trying to heal. There's a time in your life when you were introduced to lustful desires by either some other force or you found it yourself. Most of the time when we think of lust, it's about pornography. But when you first found it, it was novel, it was new, and it was something that was giving you high and joy. And now, fast forward to this day, and your soul is completely shattered. Every time you do a lustful act, and it doesn't necessarily have to be pornography, every time you do a lustful act, you are scarring your soul and you're deepening the wound in your soul more and more and more. And there's these two parts with you where one side is habitual, it is impulsive, wants to do it, and then there's the other one that is your conscious mind that's thinking it wants to escape this, and you're fighting between these two people and you don't know how to escape that, right? And it is one of the most difficult challenges in modern day when everything is so accessible to escape lust. And lust, when I mean lust, I don't mean necessarily exactly watching pornography. Of course, it is the thing that comes in mind first, but that's not what I'm talking about only. There's many forms of lust, which is impulsive desire to satisfy yourself. And the way we satisfy ourselves today is in multitudes. There's pornography, there's video games, there's social media, there's YouTube, everything. Everything is designed nowadays to satisfy that lustful desire of self-satisfaction. Okay? You can watch beautiful women online and jerk off to them. You can go and play video games for hours on end. And what do you do in that time? You're wasting time. You are wasting time, and because people are wasting time, that is why they don't get anything done. That's how you find 30, 35-year-olds, even somebody in their late 20s or early 20s, that they don't have anything going for them at all. It's because they decided and wanted to choose lustful desires, immediate impulses, over some long-term goal. There's no vision in mind, or maybe there is a vision in mind, but the thing is, because these impulses have been ingrained in their soul so much, and their soul is so scarred, that now they cannot do anything about it besides just watch it, just ruin their lives over and over and over again. And it is a sad reality. It is a very sad reality, because the power to change is literally in your hands. Now, to change purely by motivation, purely by willpower, and purely by discipline is not enough, because you're fighting against the years and years of habitual conditioning by yourself and by online environment for you to be this way, to keep you down morally. But it is possible. It is for sure possible. There was a day, I remember, when I quit my lustful desires and everything. It was a day, and I had satisfied myself and everything, and I just sat there, and I felt this rush of emotions and clarity come to me, and I was thinking, like, what the fuck am I doing? Right? And you also have this moment, right, when you like do something for a long stretches of time, or you get immediate dopamine boost. You think to yourself, like, why the fuck am I doing this? You feel burnt out, and then comes shame, comes guilt, comes self-loathing, which is the worst part, right? You're beating yourself up, like, why did I do this? Why did I do this? Why could I not stop doing this? And that's when the inner voice in your head starts telling you, like, oh, so you did this again, huh? Why did you do this again? Didn't you say you were gonna quit doing this a long time ago? Or how long it's been? How are you still doing this now? Or, I thought you didn't want to do this, but you still did it. Why did you do it? And those were the thoughts that were running through my head at that time. And the worst part about it was that I could not disagree with the voice in my head. As much as people say the voice in your head is always against you, and our voice in our head has a negative reputation, especially because like some psychologists and this say that, oh, it's just negative, this and that, whatever. I call that bullshit, because the voice in your head, when you do something bad, the reason it's negative is because it is doing the best effort for you to push you into the right direction. The reason my voice in my head, for example, the inner dialogue that I had with me after I had the moment of clarity, was so that it would push me towards fixing myself, right? Because those questions were real questions. Why did you do it if you quit? This and that. And people will say, oh, it's complex and it's this, the typical sugarcoating stuff. But I sat there and I listened to it. And I was like, you know what? You're right. Yes, I should have quit long ago. I'm still very much impulsive about it. And so, you know what? Fuck it. I'll just listen to it. Because the voice inside you, it always kind of knows the truth of what you're doing or not doing. And then when you do that bad thing that scars you internally, that's when that voice comes back to remind you of like, hey, well, why did we do this? Right? So I trusted the voice in my head and I was like, okay. And there was some kind of moment or like an instant when something clicked in my head and I was like, so this is how it feels like. I had this image after I had done what I did of me looking at myself in a third person perspective, and what I saw was sad, disgusting, but most importantly the emotion that I felt was just disappointment. It's just why would you do this to yourself? When you look at yourself in third person perspective of what you're doing, a lot of stuff looks terrible and you want to change that behavior. So I did that, and since that moment I can say that I think quality of my life, or like the immersion that I feel towards life, like the energy, my general energy, but also like the colorfulness of life and how much I enjoy it, has like tenfolded. I'm not even kidding, right? I mean, the benefits you get from when you stop consuming stuff from like, I'm not talking about only pornography. Of course, stopping pornography will definitely help you to feel life better and feel more energetic because you're not wasting your energy so much. But I'm not talking about specifically that. I'm talking about when you quit consuming so much, like the video games or the shows and Netflix and social media and pornography, all that. When you quit them, right, you have such a huge chunk of time that you're bored, but you can fill up that time with actual meaningful work. And you realize you can get so much stuff done during those times. It's kind of insane. Right? When people say I have no time, I kind of just don't believe them. Because when I, let's say, had a job, I still do have a job, but now I'm working online. But when I had a job, when I had to go physically to somewhere, and it was a period when I wasn't doing much of video games and everything, I still remember after job, 8 hours, after 9 hours of working, I still had so much time to work on the things that I wanted to work on, that I simply just do not believe that people don't have time to pursue whatever they want to pursue, right? Even if you have family and stuff, right? You can still find 1 or 2 hours a day to work on your craft or work on your goals very easily, right? I just don't believe that. And I see that excuse, I have no time, but then you look at them, what they spend their time on, it's fucking scrolling on social media. It's fucking watching movies. It's playing video games. It's, watching pornography even, right? No wonder they have no time, because they spend all that time on bullshit. So anyway, that was the moment for me when I was like, I just looked at myself in third person perspective and I was like, this isn't right. This isn't who I want to be. So I decided to change. Right from that moment, and it was kind of one time result where I was like, all right, let's just stop. It was just as simple as that. And yeah, well, the benefits, I already told you the benefits. It's just have so much energy, so much drive, so much desire to do things, right? I started reading more books recently as well. because I was always reading, obviously, but I was always kind of jumping around books, sometimes not really sticking to one. But nowadays, I decided to kind of just stick with one, and I already finished like 3 books in like 2 weeks, which is the fastest I've ever read anything. Granted, they were not massive books; they were like under 200 pages each, but still, that's like a huge achievement for me. And yeah, it's just I'm filling up my time with like work and then personal stuff and job, and it feels like time is going by me being productive, like exercising and all that stuff. And that only happened after I decided to delete the video games, quit porn, not use social media as much. Because at the end of the day, when you remove all those distractions, right, when you remove those triggers for your impulsiveness and lustfulness, at the end of the day, what's left? You have so much time, you might as well dedicate that time to something. And the progress absolutely skyrockets. There's always one, I don't know if it's a parable necessarily, but there's this one thing that always strikes to my mind when people say they want to defeat some kind of addiction or something. And it's like a water going through a rock, right? Like rock is this solid thing, and you whatever how much you try, you may never break it and whatever. But water that's trickling slowly onto the rock will through time break it and go through the rock. And that's kind of how defeating any vice works. It is a replicable thing where through consistent showing up, through discipline, a bit of willpower, slight motivation, or no motivation at all, on a consistent basis, will bring results that you want. And people underestimate that a lot, although it's not necessarily the most new idea, obviously. It's still something that needs to be constantly said and reminded to people, like, yes, super small initial progress will get you where you want to be. It's not the most radical idea, it's just a very difficult idea to grasp because on a daily basis you have to fight against your habitual impulses, right? But when you again find something better to do in life, then well, you don't need to really fight it much, because you're finding that dopamine and satisfaction from things that used to give you the immediate gratification, right? And you found it very difficult. So that's what it is for me. Of course, once you defeat it, then you have to kind of fill all that time up as you need to be, because you have responsibilities to your current self and to your past self, and you made to your future self, sorry, and you made promises to your past self that needs to be fulfilled. And maybe nobody's watching, right? Maybe nobody sees what your struggle is and what your progress is, but your past self and your future self are both watching you right now, and you're watching yourself as well. And so you're under immense personal pressure to perform. And how much are you going to live up to that, right? Because there's this future version of you that constantly changes depending on who you are now and who you hold yourself to be in the future. And then there's past self that you made promises to, that it's waiting on you to deliver that promise. So which one are you going to choose? Now, are you going to be the person you are now, or are you going to be the person that you want to be in the future, that is going to be promise fulfilled to the past, and your future self will be realized? And all that depends on if you choose to stay with the old vices or defeat them and turn into a new person. At the end of the day, it is not about specifically becoming a completely new person, right? It's mostly about not being controlled by those impulses anymore. Because once you have that self-discipline part down, that's it. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. And people don't want to do that because it's difficult. And the reason you yourself are in those vices in the first place is because they are easy, right? They give you the emotion that something long-term would give you, but immediately. And so you're just wasting that future potential away.